You know, Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
There's a new Street Fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is chill.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour. Now, it's been a while since my last episode. It's been a while because I have been working on some longer episodes that are going to be coming out later in the week. They're not necessarily better or more well-researched or anything. They're just longer, but they're going to be a lot of fun. We will have the top 100 most wanted Marvel Legends. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then later we have the trial of Hasbro. So considering that recently I did Marvel vs. DC, McFarlane vs. Hasbro, and you guys were quite surprised by the winner, I think the results of this case might leave a few people shocked. So those are things to look forward to. But right now, here in this moment, we got something that's kind of a first for the channel. We are going to cover wrestling figures because people have always been asking me, and rightly so, when are you going to cover wrestling figures? Do you collect wrestling figures? Why aren't you doing wrestling figures? Because I have a complicated history with wrestling, and that's why I love wrestling. It's my first love, always has been. Grew up obsessed with the WWF, and then just everything spiraled from that, and I wanted to become a wrestler. When I was little, my dad asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a wrestler. And he was like, well, yeah, but seriously, what do you want to be? And in that moment, I was like, oh, well, I'm going to show you. And I did, and I was a wrestler for a few years in the UK in the early 2000s when the business was dead and on its arse, but I still did it. But I never really got anywhere. And I think because of that, it kind of pains me to buy wrestling merchandise because this little part of my brain is like, should have been you. Should have been you. Except it shouldn't have. I was decisively average. Actually, I say that. I was actually very good. I was very good, but physically I just couldn't pack on much muscle or size, and I was like, I look decisively average. I'm tall. That's about it. But I can't even complain that, like, I grew up in the wrong era. Because you know guys who I shared locker rooms with? Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. So, yeah, I think they did okay. So, there's a little bit of, not bitterness, but just like, the road not taken. Although actually it was taken, I just didn't get very far in it. It was very bumpy. But still, that's why I don't collect wrestling action figures. But a friend of mine does. A friend of the show and Super Brad has lent me his AEW wrestling figures. So let's take a look at them, shall we? So diving straight into the box here, the first one that I'm going to pick up is the Spanish God, Sammy Guevara. Now, Sammy is someone who I would call an AEW original. Obviously, he was on the independents before AEW started, but this is where he really got his first big break in my eyes. I'm sure there's lots of wrestling, like, super fans who said, oh, well, actually, I used to watch him in PWG and then Progress and Evolve. And it's like, yeah. This is the first time I saw him, so shut up. And when I first saw Sammy, I really thought, like, this is just another cruiserweight type, Johnny Kickpads, vanilla midget type guy. And it wasn't until he joined the Inner Circle and we started to have the banter with Chris Jericho and he became, the Spanish God and less ex-gods with Jericho, I was like, okay, this guy's got something. And since then, he's just continued to impress and amaze. And the action figure, first time looking at like a proper close-up AEW action figure, the initial impression was, ooh, this looks kind of cheap. Like, I didn't like the look of the plastic. I'm talking about myself in the past tense, even though this happened like 30 seconds ago. But then taking a closer look, this face scan is really good. I don't know what kind of face scanning technology they use, but this is Sammy Guevara. Like, simple as that. That's a perfect likeness. So that's great. And also, fair play for doing the bleh tongue out, because it would be so easy for every single wrestler to just have the look. But if you want to actually make your display look interesting, then it's fun to actually have weird, different sort of expressions. And this is Sammy. Sammy is a tongue sticky outy kind of guy. He's like, ha, as kids are off to do these days. But this is decent. And he comes with accessories that are in here as well. But right now we've got the nice detailing, Sammy Guevara on the back there. The all plain skin tone, it looks a little bit plasticky, but I think maybe that's also because I'm just not used to seeing so much flesh tone on a character. I'm so used to comic book characters in their costumes and whatnot. Just so much just skin tone. I need to get used to that because it feels a little bit cheap, but I don't think it is cheap. Because also, this has lots of points of articulation. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. There's plenty going on there. Great torso swivel as well. It's a nicely made action figure, so we're off to a very good start. As far as accessories go for Sammy, he has these little sunglasses here, which I'm sure many people have lost already. But there you go, and they actually fit very well. He looks like such a douchebag, but that's kind of his thing. And he owns it, so that's really nice that you've got removable sunglasses. If this was McFarlane, you would have to buy a completely separate Sammy Guevara figure just to remove the glasses. And then this other bit he has, which is a great addition, all these printed hit me up signs, which is a gimmick that Sammy would have where during the ad breaks when they have picture in picture, you can't hear. So he'll be in the ring holding up signs so people at home while watching the adverts can read them. Really clever, little bit of innovation. That's why I love AEW so much. Joining Sammy now, we have Cody Rhodes with someone else's accessory there. We all know whose. Cody Rhodes, the man who's kind of the figurehead of AEW, really. As a lot of people call him, 3-star Cody. He'll always have a gentleman's 3 as far as his matches are concerned. Now, this is something that was pointed out to me by Brad when he gave me this figure. At a glance, looks good, but the eyes are horribly misprinted. If you look at them straight on, they look okay, but if you tilt the figure up, you realize that his eyes are actually painted on the top of his sockets. It's weird. It's a bad misprint. That's a bad miss. But it's just one of those things. Toy companies have these mistakes. I don't know if every Cody figure of this type is like this, but it does look quite strange. But then again, with the flesh tone, I'm noticing, just like Sammy, it feels a little bit plasticky, but maybe that's just the material. What is nice though is that he has a removable rubber weight belt. That's really, really good. It's a softer kind of rubber, and it actually disconnects as well, so he can whoosh, whip people with the belt, as he's often prone to do, which is, acceptable as a babyface, I guess. But that's always been the kind of thing with Cody, is he's a babyface who will wrestle like a heel. I'm mixed on Cody. I do like him, but he certainly is the figurehead of AEW and kind of gets all the main event sort of angles. Even if they're not in the main event, they're kind of with main event players. Anyway, I still generally like him, so I can't wait to see where his feud with Tommy End or Malachi Black goes. That's going to be great. As for the figure, he's got the Great Dream detailing on there, and he doesn't have his neck tattoo either, which people will think is either good or bad. I don't mind it, to be honest. I think it's kind of cool. Fair play to him. But then, as far as the detailing on the figure goes, the actual print on his tights is really clean and very, very nicely detailed. It's excellent. It's very, very good. And just like with Sammy, he's got the double jointed knees, the double jointed elbows, which I guess are doubly important for pro wrestling figures because you want to put them in wrestling moves. So you want to have as much range and flexibility as possible, and you've clearly got that here. Also, just again, the face scan tech, not as good as Sammy, I don't think, but at the same time, it's clearly Cody Rhodes or Spike from Buffy, one of the two. But yeah, another very, very good figure. I continue to be not blown away, but certainly impressed with these guys. Now coming out of the box, we have possibly the biggest kind of future star of AEW, Hangman Adam Page. The existential millennial cowboy, or whatever nickname they like to give him. As far as nuance and well-layered developed characters go, this is just an absolute, Hangman is a home run with AEW. And it took me a long time to come around for him, because I started following him in New Japan when he was in the Bullet Club, and he just felt like a periphery member of the Bullet Club, where you're like, who is this guy? Why are they watering down the Bullet Club? And then he just started to grow and evolve and come into his own as a character. Now people are just chanting and screaming his name and just blowing the roof off whenever he comes out in an arena. It's so great to watch his character evolve, and it's great to be one around on characters. And this is a figure that really does him justice. Speaking earlier of the "rrr" expressions, this is a classic wrestler "rrr" kind of look. But I dig it. I really dig it. Plus, he's got the Stone Cold Steve Austin type leather jacket with Hangman Adam Page on the back, which looks great. Nice print and design there. Same goes with the design on his trunks as well. Nice and detailed with that going down the side of the, not elbow pads, what am I saying? Knee pads there. It's just great effort that shines through. And I guess because he's got his, more clothes basically, his skin texture and tone doesn't look too plasticky. Although, isn't it funny how sometimes the more clothes you put on, the more naked you look? It's like, for some reason, because he's wearing a waistcoat, in my mind, he looks more naked than Sammy. Like, Sammy looks like he's wearing wrestling gear, whereas Hangman looks like he's just a dude who's not wearing pants. I always thought that was funny when Stone Cold Steve Austin would come to the ring wearing his t-shirt and wrestling trunks. Because if he just looks like he forgot to put pants on. And of course, Adam Page comes with the cowboy bull rope type thing as well to really complete the look. And that is just great. I gotta say, it has to be the favorite figure so far. Looking terrific. Great face scan. Nice hair, beard, texture. Really, really good. We just need a whiskey bottle to go with him. Now we have probably the main guy that AEW is built around. The cleaner! Kenny Omega! Bang! Always love the Japanese intros. Kenny, what a cool dude. I was a huge fan of Kenny when he came to New Japan in 2015. And I was lucky enough to get to know him personally when I was living out there, because all the New Japan guys would go and train in Gold's Gym when they were in Osaka, which was where I trained. So we got to know each other pretty well. And that was really, really awesome. And people say, never meet your heroes. Well, in this case, I can actually say, no, as far as these guys are concerned, yeah, definitely do, because lovely guy. I'm not saying this is fact, all right? But I was playing the Terminator at the time, and we were talking about his Terminator dive. He was about to go and wrestle... Firestar just fell down. He was about to go and wrestle Okada at the Tokyo Dome in about 2 months' time. And I was like, have you ever thought about doing like a full-on Terminator gimmick entrance? Just saying, someone planted the seed, all right? Of course, my idea was that me and my castmates would actually go down to ringside with him all decked out as Terminators, but that was a bridge too far. But still, I'm just, letting it be known that his entire career success is pretty much down to me. Just saying. Anyway, this figure is just like the other ones now. I don't want to start repeating myself, but it's a really, really good likeness. What's funny, I have to say, I hate Kenny's tights and gear since going to AEW. I don't understand that. When he was in New Japan, he had the coolest looking gear. It wasn't pleather, but it kind of was. It looked kind of leathery, but it looked like it looked really sort of futuristic, like the kind of wrestling gear people would wear in the future. In the past, people just wore spandex and stuff. This was like new. It looked like it had different layers and belts and buckles. It just looked really cool. And then he went to AEW, and it's like it had the same style, but just in Lycra form. Like, it's the difference between seeing Spider-Man in the MCU wearing the however much it costs, like probably like $100,000, $200,000 MCU Spider-Man suit, and then seeing a dude in a morph suit. It's like it's the same design, it's the same Spider-Man design, yeah, but one of these things is not like the other. That's what Kenny's gear in AEW looks like. Like, why? What? Did New Japan own that gear and they didn't let you take it? I guess that probably is the case. They're like, no. This is our gear. You can't have it back. So they really need to fix that. But all that giving out aside, they recreated his gear perfectly well here. And on just a action figure, it looks fine. It doesn't look as cheap as it looks in person. I've really given out about that, but well, there you go. That's because I really liked his old gear. But then he's got the waistcoat as well, with the one-winged angel bit going down there. Very, very cool. Face scan is great. Got the noodle poodle hair, just looking the bomb with his bang hand there. Of course, the kick pads on there too look great. Really nice figure. A very, very decent representation of Kenny Omega. I really like that one. Now we got the other members of the Elite, the Young Bucks, the Young Bizzles. And these guys, I mean, I cannot wait to see what their new action figures are going to look like now that they've kind of made a career gimmick out of looking like sleazy douchebags. I love heel Young Bucks. They've never been more entertaining, and they were damn entertaining beforehand. But now that they're fully playing up their kind of like fabulous Freebird, handlebar moustache, awful disgusting clothes kind of gimmick, chef's kiss. Mwah! So this is sort of the older Young Bucks. This is the babyface Young Bucks, and they look terrific. Just like all the others. Nick Jackson here with the big cheesy grin. Very, very cool. Matt Jackson with the ha sort of look. Again, go back to like the Kenny story. Got the chance to hang out with these guys quite a lot. Both super friendly. Nick usually was a bit more quiet and probably just tired, I would imagine, from touring. Matt, super chatty, super talkative. Again, just lovely people. That's just, you know, of all the reasons to support AEW, besides the fact that it's the best wrestling promotion that's come along in decades, they're actually run by super nice guys. Like, how cool is that? Either that or they were working me like a charm. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. But yeah, nothing bad to say about the Bucks, and nothing bad to say about these action figures. I love the jackets. I think, like, you can't, by the looks of things, remove them, I don't think. I think you'd be struggling, because there's no zip. They're sealed at the front. They are separate pieces, obviously, but you'd be hard-pressed to get them off. I'm sure you could do if you used a lot of hot water and wrangling and finagling, but I don't think they're designed for that. But you've got the tassels as well, the actual material tassels, which makes a big difference to the look and the texture. Again, I'm not normally a big different kind of material sort of person, but in this case, because it's just tassels, I'll allow it. It's okay. Doesn't look like they're wearing pajamas, which is what Mezcos normally look like. But yeah, you've got the Elite stickers on here, the nice shiny gold and the royal blue. Yeah, these guys, are they Elite? I dare say they're pretty damn close. Oh, I forgot to say as I was going through Sammy's stuff, he also comes with this lovely leather jacket as well, which is made of a nice flexible rubber, so you can put it on and take it off very, very easily. And yeah, just again, more added value, more bang for your buck. That's a Young Bucks move. But this is just great sort of evidence that they are really going all in. That's the name of a AEW pay-per-view. But yeah, as far as just giving fans and collectors what they want for the figures, this is terrific. And I've said there are a few flaws. Cody's eyes are a little bit messed up. Some of the skin tones feel a bit plasticky, but really as far as effort goes, I'm giving an A for effort, definitely, because no single character seems to have been like, we'll just repaint it and throw them out, or just, take a generic body, put a different head on. No, everyone has really, they've gone the extra mile to make them unique, special figures unto themselves, and that's really cool. Speaking of going the extra mile to make characters unique to themselves, oh my goodness. Darby Allin, another real breakout star of AEW. This guy has just really captured a sort of demographic that so many wrestling fans have kind of drifted away from. He's getting the equivalent of the people who were into Sting in the 90s, or The Undertaker, or the Hardy Boys. That more kind of like, dare I say, like extreme type sort of element. I don't know what else to call it. I mean, he's a skater who does jackass type stunts, but he's incredibly talented in the ring, because this would be a guy who I would have no time for if he was just someone who jumps off high things and bashes himself up. Mick Foley was referred to as a glorified stuntman by Ric Flair. As in to say, oh, he doesn't really know how to wrestle. He's got no skill. He just throws himself off high things. He's just a glorified stuntman. All right, Rick, first of all, pal, anyone would wish they were a stuntman. Being a stuntman is really incredibly skilled, and it's not just like, oh, you just throw yourself off stuff. You're a stuntman. Piss off, Rick. All right? And that kind of thing really annoys me. Like when someone goes like, oh, well, it's not ballet. Oh, yeah, you know what? Ballet's harder than you think. That's what really drives me crazy. It's like someone gets hurt in a sport and they're like, well, it's not ballet. Yeah, you know what? You wouldn't survive ballet. All right, pal? And believe me, you definitely wouldn't survive working as a stuntman, okay? Probably because you've got the discipline to. Anyway, what was he talking about? Darby Allin. Again, beautiful. I could just wax lyrical about this all day. Look at the different sort of painting techniques with the airbrushing they've gone with on his jacket. So great. A separate piece with the chain around his neck. He's got his sort of his denim shorts over the legging type gear there. Then he's got the tattoos that they've really gone nicely with the printing and the details on there. It's just going that little bit further that really makes it work. Great torso swivel. He's got the wrapped up hands with the tattoos on the knuckles. Of course, he's got his skateboard as well, which is kind of essential, but you wouldn't always assume that they would definitely include it, but thank goodness they did. So Darby Allin on the skateboard there looks really great, and most of all, as far as face sculpts go, I've been appreciating and ranking highly all the face sculpts, but this is really good. They've captured Darby Allin perfectly. Awesome Day of the Dead type skull makeup there. Really cool. Coming towards the end now, we have someone who's been a favorite of mine for a long time, Dustin Rhodes. I was remembering watching Dustin Rhodes way back in the early 90s, early 90s, when he was first brought into the WWF as Dusty's son, feuding with the $1 Million Man, and just seeing this guy grow and go the highs and lows and very lows and then back up again. It's wonderful to see. And also, because AEW generally, they are a smaller, that they say themselves, they're like a light heavyweight company. Dustin Rhodes towers over so many guys. You realize what a giant of a man this dude is. The same with Billy Gunn as well. It's like, damn, the average height and size in WWF in the 90s was insane compared to normal human beings. Dustin Rhodes is huge, but you can see if I put him next to Sammy, he's actually a huge figure as well. They've gone the extra mile to give you the proper height and dimensions and proportions. Sami Zayn, what am I saying? Sammy Guevara is much shorter and smaller than Dustin Rhodes. Just that little bit of effort and detail makes such a huge difference when you're collecting a whole bunch of wrestling figures that you want to properly scale together. Well, they do. And then for Dustin, I wish they used him more on TV or gave him more interesting storylines, because he can still go, and his ability to cut promos and emote is just second to none. And this figure, it does him justice with the great half and half makeup there, looking really cool. He's got decent gear as well now, since he's been going without the arms, because Goldust always looked like a bin bag because he was wearing the sleeves. Now he's got his arms uncovered. You can see also, for a dude his age, actually for a dude half his age, he's in tremendous shape. So this actually shows off his impressive arms, and with the badass tattoos on there as well. It's funny because he's such a weird glam goth kind of look, but you can tell he's still a good old boy. You know, he's a proper rough, tough southern type of guy, which just makes you root for him. And because it's a wonderful combination of characters, I think it just incorporates all these different aspects of humanity and personality. Again, I could talk about Dustin Rhodes all day. Fascinating character, wonderful talent, and a decent action figure. I still kind of get a more toy kind of feel from these action figures, and maybe that's just because I'm more used to Marvel Legends. Because I don't know why I feel like Marvel Legends feel more like display pieces, whereas these feel more like toys. But then again, they're all toys. They probably should feel like toys. But I think it is just because I'm used to handling the old WWF figures or WWE figures, which were very toy-ish. But I'm seeing here he's got the great thigh swivel, as well as do all of them. Everyone has thigh swivel, which is the most important thing, which is really putting me off McFarlane. I think I was being a little bit too kind to McFarlane when I was doing comparisons earlier, because the more I try to pose them and play around with them, that lack of thigh swivel is kind of a hindrance. They really need to fix that. But yeah, Dustin Rhodes looks terrific. Now, 2 final figures. Penultimately, we have Orange Cassidy. This might be the figure of the batch. It's difficult to tell because so many figures have so many different highlights. Orange Cassidy, I would say, is another AEW original. Yes, I know he was doing his gimmick before then, but this is where he's really found fame and prominence, and they have done him so much justice here. Just look at all the details. If you're not familiar with Orange Cassidy, he's the most wonderful character in the world. As a performer, as a wrestler, he learned how to do all the flippy, high spot, crazy stuff, tried doing it, got nowhere, so went the complete opposite direction and became the human sloth. Just does the lowest impact, minimal effort, nothingness, just the laziest human being in the world. As you can see from his thumbs up, which they've recreated in this action figure, the laziest thumbs up. But then in the match, he'll use this tactic to lull his enemy into a full sense of security or to let their guard down. Then he just explodes with the most insane offense you've ever seen. It's just wonderful. Most of the time doing it with his hands in his pockets. It's just fantastic. And here you can actually, as you see, you can put his hand in his pocket because his jeans or his trousers are made of softer, separate material. That's really, really going overboard. Well, not overboard because it's wonderful. But yeah, he has separate jeans that you can actually move about and slide his hand into his pockets. His t-shirt with, I mean, again, lowest minimal effort. His t-shirt is a picture of him, which he can then recreate in his pictures. It's just so simple, so clever, and proper soft cotton material that's then got the image printed on there. His denim jacket, he's wearing the old Canadian tuxedo, is similar material. It's just, this is wonderful. His aviator glasses look great. I dig this so much. Fantastic. Now guys, we have possibly AEW's greatest heel creation since their inception. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, and this guy is something special. I absolutely love everything he does, to be honest. He's so good. Even in the ring, I would say he's above average, but nothing kind of blow away. But at the same time, that's not his job. There's every opportunity there's every possibility that this guy could be like a 5-star G1 classic finalist, super duper wrestler of the millennium, but you would never know because it's not his job to wrestle like that, and he knows it. So he wrestles to his character, and that is so well done, so smart. In a company where everyone is trying to get over doing the most amazing things they can do, whether they're heel or face, this is a guy who knows that he is the prick heel who doesn't want to give anyone a reason to cheer him, and he does it just beautifully. This guy, and you can tell, this guy has a wrestling mindset, just the brain for it. He was doing the MJF character before AEW, when different companies or magazines or anything were trying to do, not magazines, I mean, who makes magazines anymore, but people were trying to do interviews with him when he was like a nobody. He was playing this gimmick of MJF, so he became a bit of a sort of a cult figure before he was ever even famous. Like this guy who was living his gimmick. So clever. And then as soon as he came to AEW, originally, just like Sammy Guevara, I was just like, this is vanilla midget. I don't get it. And then he started to talk and talk more and more and developing the character. And then he became like the little Iago on Cody Rhodes' shoulder, and you were just waiting for him to turn on him. And honestly, if you actually think about it, the storyline of like his turn didn't make any sense. They sort of had him turn heel by throwing in the towel to Cody Rhodes, but like, how does that benefit you? It would have been better for Cody to win the title, and then you could screw him over and maybe win it yourself. But either way, that's the thing though. AEW don't nail everything. They don't get everything right, but my God, they approach everything with the right attitude, and that makes the world of difference. And this figure, just another great figure. Nailed the MJF look, given him a microphone, perfect accessory because that's where he makes his money, is on the microphone. His separate scarf, this kind of cloth Burberry, Wonderful look, wonderful figure. They're killing the game here. And who better to round this out with than the Painmaker, the demo god, Chris Jericho. Probably the biggest signing when AEW first started that made you think, okay, this is interesting. Chris Jericho's been around forever and done everything. I mean, one of the last competitive representatives from the Monday Night Wars era who's still going strong today. Talk about reinventing your career. This guy has had so many different looks, so many different styles. Some worked, some didn't. But now it seems like the older he gets, the smarter he gets as to how he does things. But I think his biggest kind of, what's the opposite of a detriment? Good quality? I can't think of it. My brain's gone. It's getting hot in here again. But it's the fact that he's not afraid to fail. He'll just try different stuff and see what sticks. And now as the leader of the Inner Circle, the fact that he was willing as a villain to kind of show his ass and look ridiculous. Now that he's a babyface, the crowd love him. They sing along to Judas, which is probably just like the coolest arena to be in. Whenever people are doing that, I'd love to experience that firsthand, just feel that energy, and it's represented fantastically in this action figure. Also, Jericho over the last 2 years or so has his look, his body has, he's been very, very chunky Jericho, and I think he's trying to slim himself down a little bit now, but he's really well represented here. This is the full-on Axl Rose Jericho, for better or for worse. It's Axl Rose Jericho, but he's got the removable hat, removable scarf, his jacket comes off as well, although apparently he only comes with gloved hands, or maybe not. No, I think he does have ungloved hands too. I'm not too sure about that. But here is a wonderful representation of Chris Jericho, and again, the jacket is nice, soft plastic. The knee pads are separate pieces as well, so you can have like lots of nice movement in the knees. Yeah, they've represented him really well. They've represented the whole roster so well. And there's so many more to come because so many guys look so toyetic. You've got characters like Penta and Phoenix, hopefully Eddie Kingston at some point, Moxley, Lance Archer. So many guys. I really want to see a whole bunch of figures. Even if I don't buy them myself, I want to see these guys get figures because you want to support them. And that is why AEW is so damn cool. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. It was half figure review, half AEW critique, and a whole lot of rambling in between, but it was a lot of fun. So guys, thank you so much for watching and taking part in this kind of, what are you taking part in? What are you even saying, Dave? That makes no sense. They're just watching. Well, you do comment, actually. I appreciate that. So guys, thank you for taking part in the channel via commenting on the videos. And also, if you really enjoy it, then you can join the 6-1 clicks by clicking like, share, and subscribe. And also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any further episodes of Model Behaviour. You can tell I've been talking for too long now because I'm stumbling all over my words and I don't know where I'm going. So I'll quite simply say until next time, keep displaying model behaviour.
Goodbye. Mwah. And good night. Bang!
Commenting on those in the Facebook groups at the moment, and there's some really cool suggestions I want to see on there and make for the... Why do I start sentences that I don't know how to finish? I don't know. Why am I asking you?